and we just had the end of the boys JV game, and the boys went down to defeat 55-36. They were leading for the entire first half, and halfway through the third, and the wheels kind of came off.
Yeah, it did. What a lot of these smaller schools especially do, and we've talked about this during the season, is you get a lot of your kids that are maybe number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on the varsity bench that, in New Mexico you're allowed 5 quarters of basketball a night, and it only counts as one game. And so what a lot of these coaches do is they'll play those folks that maybe don't get huge minutes at the varsity level, or maybe kids that need some developmental time, they'll give them a quarter or two in the JV game. And so what you see a lot of times in these Eunice games is we're ahead at halftime, and we've played some of those kids that get varsity time during those first 2 quarters, and then they go to the locker room and change uniforms to get ready for the varsity game. They'll leave the kids that only play the JV out there typically to play the second half. So as you've seen most of the year, we're ahead at halftime in our JV games, boys and girls, and by the time you get to that final,
what happened?
We were ahead the whole first half, and so it's not a knock most of the time. It's not a knock on any of our kids or anything like that. It's just especially these bigger schools. A school the size of Lovington, most of their kids that play varsity basketball just play varsity basketball, and so their JV kids are a complete. It's a JV team, and that's their team, and so those kids play the whole game, or they're just a different level. At Hobbs, you go over there, you have a kid that plays on the JV. Very seldom do you see one of those JV kids come out and get any minutes, or even get to suit up for the varsity game. And so it's just something that here in these smaller schools we see a lot of, and there's a lot of strategies to it too. As a former coach, I used to sometimes tell my kids that were varsity kids that would play some JV minutes, I'd purposely let them play the second half of the JV game, knowing that they're probably going to be on the bench the first quarter or two in the varsity game anyway, but I'd play them in the third and fourth quarter because I knew that that's what most teams did, the opposite.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of to offset what they were doing. That way we kind of had an idea of how far we were going to be behind at halftime and how many minutes we needed to leave them in the game to be able to compete in that JV game. So it's just like I said, in these smaller schools in New Mexico, you see a lot of that.
Yep. Well, we've got 16 minutes left here before the start of the game, and that want to remind everybody that this is a non-league game, as Lovington is coming down a division to play us tonight, and they're doing the games on the varsity level are they are 4-6 overall and 2-3 in league, and they lost to Roswell, they lost to Hobbs by 16, they beat Dexter, they lost to Artesia by 2, lost to Goddard by 3 in overtime, beat Clovis, beat Portales, lost to Artesia by 2 again. So both their games against Artesia, they've lost by 2 points.
Yeah, and Artesia's the real deal this year. They got a great basketball program this year.
And then the only really bad game they've got on their schedule is they got blown out by Carlsbad 58-19.
And Carlsbad has a win over Hobbs, the Hobbs Eagles. So
this is a good team.
Oh, yeah. That's what I said coming into tonight. This team is probably unlike anything that these Cardinals have seen, with the exception of maybe Jal. I think that Jal's probably on this level for sure. But all the other teams that we've played are not on Lovington's level. And so, when you once again, when you get into these little bit bigger schools, and I know some people say, well, Lovington's not a very big town. Well, yeah, but their school population is significantly bigger than the Eunice Cardinals, and that's no excuse. It's just the facts. And so, you typically have a little bit better program as far as what you do and how you do it, and you have a lot more athletes that focus more on a sport, and it's like we've talked about before, we don't really have one basketball player on our team that just plays basketball, not one. And they may not either, I don't know, but I know when you get into schools like Hobbs, half their team, that's all they do.
Yep, it's not season. They're traveling club someplace.
Yes. Yes, and so, it's just a different setup. And I listened back early in the season. I listened to the Hobbs Lovington boys game on the radio, and I remember it was a very competitive game through for sure 2.5, 3 quarters, and late or midway through that third quarter, Hobbs started stretching that lead out and ended up winning comfortably. I think 16 is what
Yep.
we were talking, but I can tell you it was single digits most of that game. And so, when you're talking a team that can compete with the Hobbs Eagles that way, Eunice, as much as I've been pumping them up the last few nights and as happy as I am to see them doing well, they're not the Hobbs Eagles. And so, this team down here has faced a who's who in 5-6A boys basketball in New Mexico, in Roswell, Carlsbad, who's got a win over Hobbs, Goddard, Artesia, who's the real deal this year, Clovis, who's a powered thing, is new to everybody. It's it's basketball has been really challenged with it, and I know that especially down here in southeast New Mexico, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it, but I know down here most everybody's like, shut up, we don't want to hear it no more, let's go. But the reality of the matter is the basketball programs across our state have all experienced some fairly significant cases with it. And I mean, shoot, our boys were shut down for basically 2 weeks.
Yep.
My daughter was shut down for basically 2 weeks, causing her to miss multiple games.
Yeah, and she had a couple others on the girls' team
Yes.
that was sitting down with her.
Yeah, and so it has definitely it has definitely changed the way things happen. And with the new color-coded system and kind of the adjustments that were made in the rules by the governor this week, it looks to me like Bernalillo County and all of that area has upgraded, and because of the 2-week system, it looks like they're going to allow fans in the pit at this point. I was told yesterday it'll probably be like 25 to 30%. And so that's going to be interesting, because I know, for example, when my girls' team played in the state championship in the pit was sold out.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about that is they always have that main area in the center, lower level of the pit. They have all those real cushiony chair-back seats right there, and those are all reserved seats.
The high-dollar seats.
And typically, people get in and they buy those about now. And then if their team makes it, they go sit in those seats. If their team doesn't make it, those seats just sit there empty. So when our girls played in the state championship up there a few years back, that section was almost empty. The pit was sold out. There was people standing in line that couldn't get in, even though there was a couple hundred seats sitting right there that are wide open right in the center down on the court. Those seats were all empty. Those are people that bought those tickets, and then their team wasn't playing at that time or didn't make it, and so they weren't there. So the interesting thing is going to be, what do they do with those folks? Because those are usually your big sponsors and whatnot that buy up all those tickets right there. And if you fill those spots,
there won't be any general admission tickets.
Yes. And so I'd be interested to see how they play that out, because with only allowing 30% or whatever it's going to be up there, I can assure you New Mexico packs the pit for state championship basketball, and 30%, you're going to have people sitting outside that aren't going to get to go. So I think you may have more problems only allowing 30% in, or 25%, whatever it is, than you do when you just say nobody gets to come, we've all got to watch it, because you're going to have some mad people standing outside that drove up there, got a hotel room, and they're standing outside not able to get in. It's going to be an interesting finish here.
And the problem is that I see, and you're talking back about that, but the numbers up there are escalating.
Yeah,
so
that's true too.
that is, I mean, we have half the state that went yellow, and so it's like tomorrow night's game and Saturday's game, because both Chavez and Carlsbad counties are both back to yellow, so there'll be nobody in the fans there. But the numbers there in Albuquerque, that area, is trending up.
Yep. Well, and statistically speaking, I'd have to look at the scientific facts and numbers. However, I know, me personally, I didn't know many people in Eunice that had been exposed or gotten COVID up until we went to Albuquerque for the state football bowl game. And when we came back, it was like within a week, half the people I knew had either tested positive or been exposed and were quarantined. And so, you know,
you wonder where they got it.
Yeah. I mean, we had all just came back from Albuquerque, and all the people that were up there at the game, staying in hotels and eating at restaurants and all that sort of stuff, going out and doing things while they were in Albuquerque, those were the people that came back, and the next thing you know, they had COVID. And so
Sounds like it was a good thing I did the round trip that day.
Yeah. I mean, whether it was gotten while they were up there, whether somebody else, who knows how they got it. You know, I'm not a contact tracer, but I just know a lot of those folks that went up there and came back ended up testing positive for it. One of the young basketball team here, his family told our family yesterday that they had him tested here in the not too distant or not too recent past. They had tested him, and I guess they did one of those antibody tests on him, which I didn't even know that it gave as much information. But what they told us is that he was negative, but that he had the antibodies, and it looked like he had the antibodies for about 2 months, which he's one of the football players that was up there in Albuquerque, which would have put him having it.
So he was asymptomatic
probably while we were up there.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's like I said, it's just all of this is going to be in flux. I mean, I was surprised at the governor's comment when half the state goes back yellow again. The governor's comment yesterday about the state being back open in 9 weeks, and but she's holding it out the carrot if 60% of the population gets vaccinated, because they've reached a level now where the new vaccinations have just fallen off. If you go down to the event center, I mean, there's nobody down there lined up to get shots.
Yeah, I believe that's right. I know the judiciary did something similar. In the judiciary, at my work, we were told several months back that once the judiciary reached 50% of the employees had been vaccinated, they would open up our travel. You know, New Mexico and the governor opened up travel a month or two ago to everybody, and they didn't have to quarantine anymore when they came in and out of the state. Well, and they said, you know, certain situations you didn't have to wear a mask, all that good stuff. Well, the judiciary, when the governor eased up, the judiciary doubled down. We were told you got to wear 2 masks into any judicial building in New Mexico. If you're caught traveling outside the state, you will be required to quarantine without pay. You know, if you transmit COVID to someone because you weren't honest about a situation, you would likely lose your job. You know, they really doubled down on our rules when the rest of the state was easing up. Yep. And so, anyway, with that said, they told us once we reached 50% that they would allow us to start traveling and ease up on ours. But then, from what I understand, there's nobody out there keeping up with what percent is who, or if there are, they're not telling us any of the numbers. So I don't have any idea if 50% of the judiciary's vaccinated or not. I know of the judges that I know across southeast New Mexico, the majority of them are vaccinated. I've had both of mine, and they opened it up to allow us, and my thinking was, I'm going to go ahead and go get it. I did some research. I talked to medical people that I know and trust, numerous, and they all recommended that we get it. So my wife and I both got it, with the main carrot out in front of us being the fact if we get it, maybe we can get back to some sort of normalcy and maybe be able to go to Lubbock, maybe be able to go to Dallas on a weekend, maybe be able to travel. And so we got it, and now here we are months later.
And no change.
And we still can't go anywhere. Yeah. So I know that Eunice had a deal, which I think my understanding is several places have, but Eunice had a deal last week where they were offering it to anyone 16 or over.
Yep.
And Ovi went up and got his. I know the majority of the kids here in Eunice went up and got theirs. There was a ton of people up there getting them that day.
We had another email today from our HR that, you know, they were taking walk-ins and, you know, not even with appointments, taking walk-ins up at both at the event center and I forget where else it was. So they've got vaccines ready to go, and now we're reaching that there's just the people that aren't vaccinated yet, or those people that probably don't intend to ever get vaccinated.
Yeah, absolutely. And so anyway, it's these games and everything that goes on is just interesting. I mean, you take a team like Jow. I mean, who I think's got a legitimate chance to win it all. You take one of their top kids and have them test positive, they're going to quarantine the whole team for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that's the end of their state championship hope. I mean, it's out the window because they're not going to reschedule the state tournament.
Yep.
And so it's set for when it's set. And if you have a kid test positive, so I'm guessing, I mean, having been a coach in the past, if I'm Emmy Lujan, I'm sitting around telling my parents, look, I love you, and I know you may not agree with the governor's orders and all that good stuff, but stay home.
Right.
Wear your mask. Keep your kids from doing anything for just 2 weeks, and then you can go do whatever the heck you want to. But because one positive on that team and your whole team is quarantined and you're stuck. And, I mean, that wouldn't go for just them. I mean, look at those Hobbs Eagle girls. Right. Got a chance to win another one here. I mean,
all you need is one player. I mean, we saw it shut down. Yep. Loving got shut down. You said maybe Portala shut down. And we've seen the NCAA do the same thing. A team make the 64 and set out. So it just takes one player.
One coach, one manager that's in there with them every day, and it's all done. I mean, shoot, Chloe got quarantined because a kid at school who she talks to regularly and sees regularly tested positive. And so bang, that was it. She was out 2 weeks, and so 10 days. And so anyway, I think it's going to be an interesting finish to the season. I would be highly surprised if COVID don't play a part at the end.
All right. Well, we are going to have a national anthem tonight. That's typically we just have the Pledge of Allegiance, so we're going to play some commercials while we listen to the national anthem.
Cardinal Hardware is your complete lumber yard with reasonable prices and outstanding service. Hardware or lumber, think of Cardinal Hardware. When you need great accommodations that feel like home, think of Oil Patch Motel in Eunice. Cardinal Hardware and Oil Patch Motel in Eunice, another proud sponsor of all Lea County sports and academics.
Eunice has a friendly small-town atmosphere, great schools and churches, and a low cost of living. The entire community is very involved with all levels of sports and academics. The Eunice Department of Motor Vehicles' new office hours are Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. No testing on Friday. Eunice, a friendly small town with a wonderful community and amenities. The Eunice Clinic is proud to support the Eunice Cardinals. Go Cardinals! You're the pride of Eunice. The Eunice Health Clinic offers many of the same basic services that many local physicians provide. They specialize in sick care for all ages, women's exams, physicals, health education, lab tests, and diagnostic studies. They're proud supporters of athletic and academic events. The Eunice Health Clinic is proud to back the Cardinals. Go Cards!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here as we just had the national anthem, and that was actually sung by one of the officials for tonight's game, and he did a pretty decent job.
Yeah, I mean, we have heard a wide variety of national anthems this year, but I definitely would have to say that that's probably been about the best one we've heard, and it was a surprising best one. They said we're going to have the singing of the national anthem, and I looked over there, and all I could think is that Billy or Xan were about to belt it out, or maybe Hayden Dean. He was standing over there, and then they reached over and handed the mic to the official, and he cleared his throat, and suddenly he became an extremely deep-voiced gentleman who belted out a pretty dang good version of the national anthem. I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah. Well, I still think the pièce de résistance is the heavy metal version that we heard at Tatum.
Yeah, I got to say that was the most unusual. And I've watched a ton of sporting events, and I've seen some strange national anthems through the years. The one in Tatum had to be the icing on the cake. I mean, that was a flat-out rock and roll version of the national anthem for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that would benefit, if any of you folks that ever had the chance to watch when Roseanne did the national anthem And their rock version of it was probably as unusual as Roseanne when she sang the national anthem.
Yeah,
So.
I have to agree. I don't badmouth the national anthem much, and I sure don't badmouth it when I see some kids or somebody from the community willing to go down there and sing it. But I got to say, that Tatum one was pretty rough. I don't think we'd have had too many military people happy to hear that one because it was an unusual one.
Yeah, it was some heavy metal band that had done the national anthem.
So here we go. We've got Lovington and Eunice getting ready to face off here at Joe Langston Gymnasium. And Eunice, no jump today. We will get started with the ball on the sidelines in the hands of Lovington.
All right, typical lineup out there. We got Tricera, we got Thompson back out again. We got Ortega, and we've got both the Ontiverases out there. Bob pulls out to the side here, and a three-pointer to start it off for the Wildcats. And they've got a quick turnover there and another 2 points. And the Cardinals are down quickly here, 5-0. And we got the full court press. And, so we got another turnover on the Cardinals as Jorge Ontiveros gets called for a travel there.
Yeah, they're definitely playing with a tempo we're not used to so far.
All right, Ortega gets the ball, brings it down court. He's at the top of the key. He goes out to Thompson. Thompson looks to drive the lane. He goes out to Tricera. Tricera goes inside to Ovi. Ovi's shot is up and no good, and the rebound goes off to the Wildcats. And the Wildcats definitely play with some speed here. And there's another three-pointer by Sandoval. He's on a three-pointer already tonight. Jorge Ontiveros brings the ball down. And we have another turnover. So far, minute and 30 seconds gone in the game, and we have had one shot on basket for the Cardinals.
Yeah, struggling here a little early. 6:30 remaining here in the first quarter. Lovington up 5-0.
All right, Thompson at the top of the key. He goes over to Ortega. Ortega throws up the three-pointer and buries that three.
That makes it 5-3 in favor of the Wildcats.
Well, good. They're 1 of 2 from the field, so 50%. We'll take that. All right, comes back over to Henson. Henson drives the baseline. He goes back out to Sandoval. Sandoval's looking to set that three-pointer again. He goes over to Jeffrey. Jeffrey throws up and gets a three-pointer. And they've got the full court press going on and trying to get back. So they have to give the ball to Ovi in order to get the ball in. And we get him tied up here again. And Tricera's got the ball. He goes over to Jorge Ontiveros, who's tied up across the timeline. And we got a timeout there to prevent another turnover.
Yeah, Eunice takes a timeout. 5:47 remaining here in the first. Eunice trails 3-8 to the Lovington Wildcats. And the Lovington Wildcat press has really given us fits so far.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, so we're 3 minutes into the game, and we've had 2 shots on goal.
Yeah, the Wildcats have really come out and put a press on us that's a little more up-tempo press than what we're used to, and we've struggled with it so far. We talked about this, though, in the pregame. Lovington's been playing teams like Hobbs and Carlsbad and Artesia and Clovis and Roswell High, and that is just a much more up-tempo, in-your-face style. And Eunice is going to have to make some adjustments on the fly here.
All right, so Cardinals got the ball in, bringing it in to Ortega. He goes back to Ovi Ontiveros. He gets caught up again, goes to Ortega. Ortega dropped, and the ball is almost turned over. Now Tricera's got the ball. He goes into Ovi Ontiveros, who goes down to Ortega. Ortega drives down the line and makes it.
Nice shot there by George Ortega. I believe he's got all of our points so far.
He does. All right, they go over to Sandoval. Sandoval's looking to drive out. He pitches it out to Henson. Henson throws up his three-pointer. It's no good. Sandoval gets the rebound. He goes over to Jeffrey, back out to Henson. Back over to Sandoval, another three-pointer. And he misses the three-pointer, and the rebound is off to the Cardinals. Jorge Ontiveros brings the ball down. Looks like he wants to drive it all the way down the lane. And fortunately, great save there by Ortega. So Thompson comes out top. He goes to Ortega. Ortega goes up to Jorge Ontiveros, pulls up for a three-pointer. His basket is no good. And the rebound is off to the Wildcats. All right. Hilliard brings it down. He goes over to Henson. Henson's shot is no good. Rebound is off to Ortega. And now they pulled off of the press.
Yeah, sometimes teams will mix it up like that just to keep you off on your heels.
All right, over to Tricera. He's being guarded close in. He goes to Ovi. Ovi tries to get in deep. His shot is no good, and the rebound goes off to the Wildcats. Wildcats took a little bit more leisurely down the court that time, too. So here we are over to Sandoval and to Henson. Back to Sandoval. He goes inside to Cladero. Comes across court here to Henson. Henson's a Hilliard. So they just keep passing it around. And they're just looking to get that shot up there. And so they're very selective, and they're just passing the ball around. We've probably spent a minute here just watching them pass the ball at the top of the key. All right, so to Jeffrey. Henson now we've got three-pointer up there and doesn't make it. And the rebounders to Tricera as the Cardinals are down 8-5 here. 3:35 left in the first. And we had a miscommunication there. Ovi thought that Tricera was going to go the other way.
Yeah, just a little mishap there. Throws it out of bounds. That's a turnover over to the Wildcats. 3:30 remaining here in the first quarter. Lovington is up 8-5. Eunice is competing so far in this ball game, though. I mean, the pace has slowed down. I think it's a good thing for the Cardinals.
Yes. All right, so Hilliard brings the ball across the court. He goes over to Sandoval, who goes over to Jeffrey, goes over to Hilliard. Back to Villalobos, back to Hilliard, back to Sandoval, to Jeffrey, to Sandoval, or Hilliard, sorry. Now to Villalobos, and Villalobos' shot is up and no good. And nobody takes the rebound. They're standing there watching him, and so they get the basket. As we got three Cardinals that are standing there watching the ball bounce in, and don't know what happened there. And so Ortega brings it, and he hands it off to Obi, and Obi is fouled going up and will go to the line. That is our first foul of the game.
Yeah, I guess they all stopped down here. They thought as that ball went over the top of the backboard, they just assumed that was out of bounds, and it has to touch something back there before it's out of bounds. So Obi steps up and misses the first free throw, and he'll get one more. That one clanked off the front of the rim a little short, so he'll step to the line. Eunice now trails 2:47 remaining in the first quarter. Eunice trails 10-5. Obi will have one more shot here from the free throw line. He misses the second.
And the rebound is Obi, and he knocks it over to Adrian Perez there, follows up off that tip and sinks the basket.
Yeah, that was a purposeful pass there. He got an assist out of that deal. Makes it 7-10 in favor of the Wildcats.
So Contreras to Sandoval, who goes back over to Contreras, to Hilliard, to Sandoval. Sandoval's looking down the right-hand side here. He goes back over to Contreras. Contreras goes over to Villalobos. Villalobos' three-pointer's no good, and the rebound goes off to Adrian Perez. And Thompson gets the ball. He's going to bring it down across the court. He's looking to drive in. Nobody's there. He drives down the lane. His shot is no good. Great attempt there. But, again, we're one and done. We're not getting any rebounds here. All right. So Contreras here to Sandoval. His three-pointer is up and no good, and the rebound goes off to the Wildcats. All right, over there to Contreras. His three is no good, and the rebound goes to the Cardinals. Adrian Perez brings the ball down, and he's going to be fouled and is going to be going to the line to shoot two.
Yeah, Jorge in transition split the defense there. Kind of did the whoop-de-doo with the basketball in between them. Looked like he was rocking a baby in a cradle, and they reached out and got him on the arm as he went up. So he'll get to go to the free throw line and shoot two here. He's got a chance to pull Eunice to within 1 point here late in the first quarter. Now the first one rattles out, so it's still 7-10. Ontario will get to go back to the free throw line with one more here. We are struggling from the free throw line here early in this game.
Yeah, and T.J. Martinez is now in the game, and he's came in for Tricero. Here's the second shot, and he makes the second shot.
So Eunice now trails by 2 points here, 1:36 remaining in the quarter.
So we're down by 5, and they've gotten a little back here. So over to Villalobos. Villalobos comes over to Henson. Henson's shot is up and no good. Rebound is off to the Wildcats. Henson has the ball again. And he goes over to Contreras. Contreras driving down, and on the 22, that is Enriquez, and he goes back out to Villalobos. Villalobos' three-pointer is up and good. The majority of the points for the for the Wildcats has come via the three-pointer. T.J. Martinez running. He's going to drive down the lane there. He passes it off to Obi, and Obi is fouled and is going to go to the line again.
Yeah, I think we need Obi to finish a couple of those. He's got to the rim a couple times, and Lovington has contested him there. He's went to the free throw line now. This will be the second time to get over to the line for 2, but we could really use him finishing a couple of those at the rim. So we trail now 8-13, 57 seconds remaining in the first quarter. The first free throw hits right on the front of the rim, balances up there for a minute, and then falls out. So it is no good. Ovi will have one more here. Eunice trails 8-13, under a minute to go in the first quarter.
And that foul was on number 12, Contreras. That's his second foul, and Ovi's second attempt is no good, and the rebound is off to the Wildcats. So Enriquez brings it down. He looks to drive the line. He's turned over. It's knocked away, and it goes to the Cardinals. Ovi back to Orge. Orge's going to bring the ball across the timeline. He's setting up at the top of the key. He's getting pressed. Needs some help there. Goes over to Ortega. Ortega goes to Ovi. Back to Ortega. And the ball is knocked away by Henson. Henson drives down, and his runner is good. And they're back to the full court press. So he's having a hard time getting the ball in. He brings it into Ovi. Ovi goes back to Orge Ontiveros. 15 seconds left here in the game, in the quarter. And they're knocked away again by Henson. Another turnover. Goes over to Villalobos. And they're going over thing, and so here's going to go out to Henson. Henson's three-pointer is up, and he buries the three-pointer. So the Cardinals were down 10-5, pulled back 10-8, and now they're down 18-8.
Yeah, Lovington run, a huge run right there to end that quarter, really extended that lead out to now 10. Eunice down 10, 8-18 here to end the first quarter.
And what we've seen tonight that we didn't see last night, and we only saw for a few minutes in the third period on Tuesday night, was the turnovers.
Yeah, and I don't really say that Eunice is doing anything any different. It's, as I mentioned here coming into this game, this is a different style and a different level of basketball team that we're playing here today. And, Eunice went on a 10-day spell where they had absolutely no practice. We've played 2 extremely competitive games the last 2 days.
Yes.
And then we return here tonight to play probably the toughest team we've played all year. I guess that would be an arguable statement with the Jow Panthers because I think they're tough as nails. But this is probably the toughest task we faced all year right here in these Lovington Wildcats.
Well, the Lovington Wildcats are definitely a quick team. Yeah. And so we've seen that there, that they kind of thing is they've seen a bunch of those turnovers have been, not a bunch of them, but several of those turnovers, the result of their speed is just intercepting that pass. They're not there, and all of a sudden they're there.
Yeah, and so here we go. Eunice is going to get the ball to start the second quarter. Lovington up pressure and man-to-man full court defense at this point.
And he gives it to Ortega. He gets it in there. Ortega's going to drive down the line, and he's going to be fouled in the act of shooting.
No, they called it out of bounds, so he blocked the shot clean, and Eunice will get the ball in the baseline here, trailing by 10, 5:57 remain in the second quarter.
All right, so we're having that same issue there. Goes over, and the inbound pass is intercepted by Henson. He goes down to Hilliard. Hilliard looks to drive down. He goes to Sandoval. Sandoval's little runner is up and good. And the inbound pass is intercepted by Villalobos. He gives it out to Sandoval, and Sandoval's shot is no good. The rebound is off to Ortega. Jorge Antiveros drives down. His shot is no good. Gets it back in, and the rebound goes over to the Wildcats. Yeah, I'm not sure what the call was there. We had some sort of call that broke the
momentum of the game here. The official blew the whistle and didn't call anything. Now they threw it in on the baseline. 7:30 remaining here in the half. 8-20 Lovington.
And the three-pointers up there by Villalobos. It's no good. The rebound goes off to Jorge Ontiveros. He gets his own pass back. So he brings it across the timeline. He goes over to Ortega. Ortega puts his three-pointer up. It is no good. Rebound to the Cardinals. The Wildcats. And they got Jeffrey driving down. His shot is no good. He gets it off to Hilliard. Hilliard's shot is no good. Thompson gets the ball. He drives it down. Thompson has his arm grabbed, and we have no call, and it turns in a turnover to Hilliard. Hilliard goes over to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey's shot is good.
That's looking about timeout 30 at this point, but 6:45 remaining here, 8-22.
All right. Obi pulls it up to Thompson to the three-pointer. Thompson's three-pointer is no good, and nobody's there for the rebound. And it looks like for a change we have a turnover there on the Wildcats as they threw the ball out of bounds.
So 6:32 remaining here in the quarter, 8-22 in favor of the Wildcats.
And Thompson back to Jorge Ontiveros as they got him trapped in the corner. And it's another turnover, so Sandoval gets it, Jorge gets it back and step out of bounds. So it's going to be a turnover and goes back over the Wildcats under their own basket. And
we've got a timeout on behalf of the Eunice Cardinals here. 6:22 remaining in the half, 8-22 in favor of the Wildcats. Eunice so far getting taken to the woodshed.
Yep, they're not able to get out of their press, and they're not helping. So Jorge got caught down there in the corner there again, and there was no help for him.
Yeah, it's a different type of press than what we saw with the Panthers a couple nights ago, and so it looks to me like we're trying to reverse it to Jorge and have him clear it. The problem is they're coming at him, and with Jal, once they reversed it, they were matched up and everybody would clear and he would be there with a one-on-one dribbling up at the post. In this type of press, they've still got two. They're not running down the floor, and so they're coming to trap him after that.
And they're being very successful at it.
Absolutely. So Lovington will have the ball on the baseline to throw it in here after this timeout.
And it doesn't help that the Cardinals have been ice cold from the field, too. Well, field and the line. All right, into Henson. His shot is no good. Rebound off to Thompson. And Thompson has the ball stolen away, and Hilliard goes in a little layup, and that shot is good. So all right, brings it into Ortega. Ortega back to Jorge Ontiveros. He's trapped down there. He tries to drive up there. They're going to have him trapped in the corner again. He goes over there, and the ball goes now to T.J. Martinez, who's wide open. His little runner is up and good. And
makes
that's the
it
first
10-24. 5:45 remaining here in the half. Eunice trails 10-24.
All right. Sandoval, top of the key, goes over to Henson. Henson goes over 14. That's over to Villalobos. His shot is no good. Rebound is to Jorge Ontiveros, who goes to Ortega. And the referee kind of got in the way there, but we kept the ball. Goes to Ortega. Jorge Ontiveros sets up his line and drills that shot. Little pull-up jumper there with three guys on him.
So that makes
good, and the rebound is to Obi Ontiveros. And they get to Thompson. Thompson down to Ortega. Ortega looks like he wanted to. He goes over to T.J. Martinez, pulls up, and his shot is good.
So Eunice draws back to within 10 here, 14-24, under 5 minutes remaining in the half.
Nice little give and that one there for Ortega over to T.J. Drew off the defender and got the basket. All right, over to Henson. Henson's got Hilliard back out to Henson to Sandoval. Sandoval goes over to Villalobos. Back to Hilliard, and that shot is up by Henson. No good. The rebound is off to the Wildcats, and that's to Jeffrey. Ball's on the ground. He goes across court. That's to Hilliard. Hilliard to Sandoval. Sandoval drives the lane, pulls up, and his shot is good as he gets over Ovi Ontiveros and Jorge Ontiveros. And we got a breakaway here by Ovi. It comes down, and he misses his shot, and the rebound goes off to the Wildcats.
Yeah, he went up for that one. He pump faked the first guy and thought he was by himself. The guy behind him threw his shot up against the glass, so caused him to miss. That's 14-26. Eunice trails here by 12, and we've got a couple of minutes remaining here in the quarter. like I said, it's all about pace. Lovington is going to be content with giving up some layups. They've given us a couple of wide open layups. However, on the other end, although they've given up a couple of free ones, they've also taken themselves more free ones than they've given up. So that's how that press works. That's what Hobbs does to people for years. I mean, you look at them at the end of the first quarter, it's always close. Halftime, they usually start to pull ahead. And then at the end of the game, you look up there and they beat people by 40. And it's by that same mentality. We'll give you a few layups, but we're going to get more off our press.
All right, so Woods and Obi and TJ are out of the game. Ortega, TJ, and Obi are out of the game. And they got some new replacements. So Gomez is in the game. We got Woods in the game here. Thompson goes over there to Henson. Henson goes out to Villalobos. Villalobos' shot is no good, and the rebound off to Orgeon Taveras. And they got 3 people in the block, and his shot is knocked away. And as Gomez there, as he sits, his shot is up and no good. And the rebound is off to, and Gomez is going to get called for a foul there.
That's a good move by Gomez there, and his ball did everything but fall in, and good move for the freshman. As we talked the other night, it's some good minutes for that freshman here. 14-26 in favor of the Wildcats. 3:30 remains here in the half.
All right. Henson back out to Sandoval. Sandoval's three-pointer is up and no good and goes off the backboard, so that this time it does touch the backboard and will be out to the Cardinals.
So Eunice will have the ball on the baseline. 3:27 remains here in the half. 14-26 in favor of the Wildcats.
Brings Gomez up to Orgeon Taveras, who goes over to Woods. Woods is trapped. He goes back to Orgeon Taveras. Orge's trapped there, and he throws it to Tricera. Tricera tries to dribble it away, and looks like we're going to get a foul there on the Wildcats.
Yeah, Tricero tried to split that defense, and they were able to get him on the arm as he cut through him. So 3:14 remains here in the half, 14-26.
All right, Thompson got the ball at half court, brings it down. He looks to drive it out. He goes over to Tricera. Tricera goes into Gomez. Gomez tries to first it out, nothing there. He goes to Thompson. Thompson goes over for a three-pointer for Orgeon Taveras, and he buries it.
Yeah, that cuts the lead to 9 for the Wildcats. Great three there by Ontiveros.
Yep. All right, so over to Henson. Henson goes across to Enriquez. Enriquez's three-pointer is up and good. So we get 3 and then get 3. All right, Thompson, and ball goes on his head and back out of bounds and turnover there.
Yeah, we can't exchange threes with them when we're trailing like this. So, and then we had a careless turnover there. That'll hurt a little bit. 2:41 remaining in the
up and no good, and Gomez has the rebound. And again, Orge bounces up team, so we got another turnover. And this time the shot is blocked by Gomez. And the rebound goes to Orgeon Taveras. He goes down court. He throws it out to Woods. Woods' three-pointer is short. Goes in back to Orge. Orge's shot is no good. And the ball's back over to Hilliard as he drives the ball down court to Enriquez.
Yeah, and Marcus Tricero was able to get a hand on that pass that came cross court, deflected it out of bounds. 2:11 remaining here in the half. Eunice trails 17-29. We're going to have a substitution. Thompson's going to go to the bench. Garcia's going to come in.
So we got 4 younger players on the field, on the court now. All right, they come over to Henson. Henson goes over to Hilliard. Hilliard's three-pointer is good.
So it's 17-32, under 2 minutes remaining in the half.
All right, Garcia's trapped. He's looking to dribble out of it. Nothing there. He goes to Gomez. Gomez goes to Tricera. Tricera's looking to go down court. He brings it across. Dribbling to the top of the line. 1:40 left here in the first half. And Tricera has the ball knocked away by Hilliard. Hilliard's going to go down there. And Woods tries to get nothing there. The follow-up there by Henson. And another basket there.
That's 17-34, 1:25 remaining in the half.
And that one's so off of Hilliard's foot, so that's going to stay with the Cardinals, and they'll be inbounding it from the sideline in front of the Wildcats bench.
Tricero goes to the bench, and George Ortega comes back in for the Cardinals. 1:22 remains here in the half, 17-34. Wildcats in the lead. Eunice will have the ball at the old 28-foot mark on the right side of their offensive end.
And you can tell that this is on. I mean, if you look at Woods over there on the sideline, and he is gasping for air as he is inbounding that ball. Goes over to Ontiveros to Ortega. Ortega goes out to Garcia. Back to Ortega. He goes into Gomez, nothing there. Gomez goes back to Ortega to Jorge Ontiveros, and his three-pointer makes it.
Yeah, Jorge Ontiveros there with a big three. 20-34, under a minute remaining in the half.
All right, comes over to Enriquez. Enriquez goes to Henson, and the ball is deflected there by Enriquez, and they got Garcia who's going to Ortega, and Ortega's shot is no good, but he's going to be fouled in the act of shooting. He should go to the line to be shooting two here.
And so 46 seconds remain here in the half. Eunice trails by 14, 20-34. George Ortega will go to the free throw line. He spins it around, takes the dribbles. First shot is up and no good. He's going to go to the line to shoot one more. We have struggled here all night on our free throws. And he makes the second one. So that's 21-34, 46 seconds remain, Lovington ball.
Yeah, we're 2 from 8 from the line tonight. All right, goes over to Henson. Henson, that shot is knocked out of bounds, and looks like we're going to have a foul on Woods there.
Yeah, so 39 seconds remain, 21-34. It'll be Lovington's ball on the baseline here on that foul.
He's looking to get it out there. He goes over to Villalobos. Villalobos comes out to Sandoval, to Jeffrey, back over to Henson. He goes over to Enriquez, and they bring it inside to Henson. And Henson gets a little runner and is good. And 36-21. They bring it in to Garcia. Garcia goes over to Gomez. Gomez back to Garcia. Ovion Tavares bring the ball down court. He goes to Ortega, goes back to Garcia. Garcia goes inside to Gomez. And Gomez is just being shoved around, and there's no call there. And now they get the ball back down there to Villalobos. Villalobos throws it up for a three-pointer and makes the three-pointer.
Yeah, so he hits almost a half-court buzzer beater there to end the first half, catapult the Wildcats to a 39-21 lead here at the halftime. Pretty rough half for the Cardinals. At the same time, we talked about it before. This is a different level of basketball that they're playing here today.
Yeah, they are there, but, I mean, especially when they let them get away with that stuff down there. Gomez, the number 34, Olivas, was just shoving Gomez around, and he has the ball, and there was no call.
Yeah, and I always say if it's less than 10-point game, then I think maybe some of those things can make a difference. When you're getting doubled up and score at halftime, then I mean, you can make all the calls you want down there. I don't think it's going to be a 20-point difference. So 21-39, Eunice trails. Lovington in control here, especially with that half-court buzzer beater there to catapult them up to this lead that they're in right now.
Yeah, and as you talk about some of the line, we're 2 of 8 from the line for 25%. They have 5 fouls on the Wildcats, but the thing is most of their fouls have given us shooting opportunities, and we haven't been able to capitalize on them.
Yeah, we've just struggled here so far. So, both teams are in the locker room. They'll see if they can come up with some ideas on what they need to do to neutralize what the other team is doing, and see if Eunice can make some adjustments and make the second half at least respectable.
So what if any player changes you'd come out there, any matchups that you'd like to change? Did you see if as you're bringing it out?
I don't think that there's any matchup changes. I mean, the majority, it seems like to me, and I didn't keep stats. I don't typically do that. I just talk and go off what's on my brain. But it seemed like Lovington, the majority of their points came from behind the three-point line.
Yes. And
so, with the exception of some steal transition layups, it seemed like almost all their regular shots came from outside the three-point line. And when you can continue to knock down threes from out there, we get an occasional three and maybe a free throw, and then they come down and knock down 2 threes in transition and maybe get a steal and a layup. Those two numbers don't equal out. There's no scales of justice coming from a person that works in the judiciary. There's no justice scales balancing out and that sort of deal. So we can't trade a free throw at one end for a three-pointer at the other, and then give up 2 turnovers that equal layups before we even get the ball back down and do something. So, once again, ultimately, I think it's just a different level, a different speed, a different tempo than what these Cardinals have been accustomed to playing. And with the exception of the Jow game, nobody else is even comparable to this Lovington Wildcat team that we faced this year. It's just a different level of basketball.
And it's not like there's just one person making those threes either. I mean, you got Sandoval's made them, you got Henson's made them, Hilliard's made them. So, they've got a number of players that have made, multiple three-pointers out there. So it's not just one player that you can concentrate on and keep an eye on.
Yeah, if they had one guy knocking down the three, you could say, okay, we're gonna focus our defense on him, know where he's at all times. But when you got 3 or 4 guys that are consistently knocking down the three, the only way to adjust and cover that up is to come out of your zone and get in a man defense. However, I'm just being honest as a coaching mind, that my coaching mind tells me that if we were to do that, they're going to beat us off the dribble and shoot layups all day. So, you're going to give up some threes or you're going to give up layups. And so you have to decide as a team, as a coaching staff, which one of those is better. I don't know the answer to that. That's why I'm sitting up here with a headset on, and I just get to jabber and talk and act like I know what I'm talking about.
All right, well, we're going to hear from our sponsors here, take a little break, and want to thank the people that make these broadcasts possible.
Eunice Public Schools is proud of their Eunice Cardinals, the Eunice community, and the staff of Eunice Schools. Eunice Public Schools has anchored itself as an integral part of the Eunice community and takes school safety very seriously. Eunice Schools have continually provided a quality education for the students of Eunice through good times and bad. The Eunice School District appreciates the Eunice community, and they're proud of their Eunice Cardinals. Eunice is on the move. Are you ready?
Eunice Pump and Supply has been around for over 30 years and is excited to continue their services to the community. They take pride in their employees and their hard work and dedication, and most importantly, take pride in the youth of Lea County. Eunice Pump and Supply is a proud supporter of all Lea County athletics and academics. Eunice Pump and Supply, 1310 Avenue O in Eunice, another proud supporter of Lea County athletics. Parker Energy, family owned and operated since 2006. Their team is known for their hard work and dedication, big enough to meet your needs for transport, pump trucks, vacuum trucks, and disposal services. Parker Energy and their staff are huge supporters of all Lea County sports and academics. They encourage their young adults to go the extra mile, whether it's sports, grades, or just being a better you. Parker Energy Support Services, 2350 Avenue O, a proud supporter of Lea County athletics.
Are you looking for a reliable and trustworthy auto shop? Check out Zia Auto Shop in Eunice. Zia Auto Shop specializes in lube and tires and accessories. They accept fleet company maintenance cards and do washing and detailing. Next time you need a dependable tire or lube service for your vehicle, Zia Auto Shop has you covered. All the services you need, call 394-0298 for all your lube, tire, and accessories. That's 394-0298. Zia Auto Shop, 1800 Main Street in Eunice, proud supporters of the Eunice Cardinals and Lady Cardinals.
Cardinal Hardware is your complete lumber yard with reasonable prices and outstanding service. When you need hardware or lumber, think of Cardinal Hardware. When you need great accommodations that feel like home, think of Oil Patch Motel in Eunice. Cardinal Hardware and Oil Patch Motel in Eunice, another proud sponsor of all Lea County sports and academics.
Eunice has a friendly small-town atmosphere, great schools and churches, and a low cost of living. The entire community is very involved with all levels of sports and academics. The Eunice Department of Motor Vehicles' new office hours are Monday through Thursday, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. No testing on Friday. Eunice, a friendly small town with a wonderful community and amenities.
All right, so we're back to here, and so I've done to you the last couple of games in that. So you're in the locker room, you're down by 18 points. What are you telling your kids?
Well, sometimes the reality of the matter is that you're just outmanned in a game. And in this particular game, I think coming in, at least in my mind, I felt like we were probably outmanned. Now, as a coach, you never tell your team that you're outmanned. But the reality of the matter is anybody, as we talked about during the break, anybody that's ever played sports has been in that situation where you go, we play the best perfect game that we could play and they struggle, we're probably not going to beat this team. And that's the reality of this game here today. I mean, Lovington, not year in and year out, but this year they've got a team that has been competing with the Hobbses and the Clovises and the Roswells of the world. And not just competing, they're competing with those teams with a record at 500 or better. We have been playing, the
Lovings
Tatums
and
the Lovings and the Hagermans of the world, and we're, I think our record right now is like 2-5 or something to that nature, 2-6. I mean, and that's not a knock at anybody. It's just the reality. And so when you have a school that's well below 500 against 1 and 2A schools, playing a team that's at or above 500 against the 5 and 6A powerhouse basketball schools of the state, it's just a different caliber. And so these kids can compete. As a coach, I would just go in and, tell them to focus on the little things and try to take each trip down the floor as the game.
All right, so we're back to action here as Hilliard's got the ball, his top of the key. He's looking over to Sandoval. Sandoval gets into Aguero. Hasn't been in there. He goes to Sandoval. Sandoval pulls up for his three-pointer, and he makes it to start it off. So the way it finished is the way it started, with Sandoval making a three. So Thompson's back in the game. He goes to Adrian Perez. He's tied up there. He goes to Obi. Obi goes back to Thompson. Thompson goes to Adrian Perez, and the ball is stolen away. And here comes Sandoval and driving the lane. He misses a shot, but Henson's following her back up, and then the rebound is off to Jeffrey. And looks like we're going to have a jump ball there, and fortunately the arrow's in the Cardinals' possession.
Yeah, so 30 seconds into this half, it's 21-42. Lovington leads by 21.
And so the inbound pass is stolen away, and so he was standing on the line there, so that's good. And so the ball will stay with the Cardinals. And Adrian Perez is trying to get the ball in. He has a lead pass, and it's knocked away, and it comes up to Henson. Henson comes over to Cladero. Cladero goes to Sandoval, and Sandoval's three-pointer is no good this time. It's off to Thompson. Thompson has the ball stolen away, and here comes Sandoval back down again, and this time his little runner is up and good. And it's down by 23 here, just under 2 minutes played here in the third. Comes to Thompson. Thompson is double, triple team there, and the inbound is stolen there. Henson goes over. Here's the Henson. Henson drives it in.
And Eunice wants to talk about it. They're going to call a timeout here. 6:47 remaining, so just over a minute gone out of this third quarter, and Lovington has really tacked on to this lead. They're up now 25. So 21-46, Lovington has really turned up the press, turned that press into turnovers and easy layups. So Eunice is struggling here to start the third.
Have we even taken a shot on basket yet?
I don't know that we've gotten past half court yet this half.
was my thinking too. Is I don't think the minute gone and we haven't even been down on.
I think maybe once or twice we made it to that half court area, but I don't think we for sure haven't made it down into our end this whole half. So
it's a sign when you're being dominated, when you can't, a minute goes and they've made 4 baskets and you can't get the ball into your side of the court.
yeah, definitely been a struggle here so far, and once again, like we talked about right after half or right at the end of the half, it's just a different level of basketball, and it's hard sometimes to get people to understand the different levels of basketball, but this is a different level of basketball here, and the Cardinals just got to focus on what they do. Each trip down the floor, limited turnovers, things like that.
All right, well, the Wildcats have pulled out of the press again, and so the ball comes over to Ortega. Ortega goes to Thompson in the corner. He's looking to drive around. Nothing there. He goes over. His shot is blocked away, and they got a breakaway here for Henson. An easy runner for Henson, and his shot is up and in. So another turnover on a intercepted pass. And there's another one, and Henson steals it away again. He goes over to Hilliard, and this time it's no good. Adrian Perez brings the ball down court. He goes over to Obi. Obi's from Sunland, and his shot is no good, and the rebound to Sandoval. Sandoval brings the ball down court. He goes over to Hilliard. Hilliard's 3 is no good. The rebound is off to Obi, and Obi stepped on the line, so it's going to stay with the Wildcats.
Yeah, so 48-21, 6 minutes remains here in the third. We're going to have a substitution here. Thompson's going to go to the bench. Julius Jules is going to come into the game. Marcus Tercero is also going to go to the bench.
All right, they inball in the ball. They bring it to Jeffries, and he is fouled, and he's going to go to the line, and that's going to be the first time they've gone to the line tonight.
Yeah, so George Ortega had no choice but to either foul him or give him an easy layup there, so he did, and that kept him from getting it in. It was Julius Woods that they've called that foul on, so he makes the first free throw. That makes it 21-49 after he makes the first. 6 minutes remains here in the third, so we're just 2 minutes into this third quarter. He'll get one more. He knocks it down as well. 21-49, 21-50 at this point.
And the ball is stolen away again, and here is Henson drives down his little runner, and 52-21. The Cardinals have yet to score in this half.
I don't think the Cardinals have made it past the three-point line.
And there's another steal, and he tries to slam. He tries for the dunk and misses it. And boy, I bet his coach is not happy about that.
When you're up that many, you want your kids to try to see if they can get a highlight reel, and that's what he tried there. He missed it. Eunice will get the ball back, but they're down 31 points at this point.
Well, and unfortunately, 3 more points, and we're on a running clock, and we're still in the third. And so there's another steal there. They go over to Henson. Henson's shot is up and good.
Yeah, Eunice getting took to the woodshed here. 5 minutes remain here in the third. We're not even halfway through this third. 54-21.
All right, goes into Ortega. Ortega's found. He goes into Obi. Obi's shot is up and no good. And the rebound goes off to the Wildcats. So one and back down the other way. Here comes Hilliard. Jeffries, he shots up and no good. He follows his shot up, and he drops it in. It's his own rebound and in.
21-56. That's that 35-point mark, so now the clock will run.
And we got another steal there, and here's Sandoval goes down. He's going to take the ball all the way down for the little runner, and 58-21. And Adrian Perez is going to bring the ball down court. And that ball's up. Here's Ortega. So he goes over to Woods. Woods pulls up his three-pointer, and it is short. And the pass off to Sandoval, 2-point people down there. He pulls up, actually. That's Henson. He goes to the three-point line and gets the three-pointer.
That makes it 21-61. It's now a 40-point game. We're not even halfway through this third quarter. 4:09 remaining.
And we've only had 3 shots on goal. There's another three-pointer by Adrian Perez, and he makes that.
That makes it 24-61, under 4 minutes to go.
There's another three-pointer by Sandoval, and you talk about trading those threes, and that's just exactly what happened there. We're down by 40. And the clock will continue to run. Jorge Antiveros, he goes all the way down. His shot is up and no good. Ovi gets the rebound, and,
we had a shot, a miss, the offensive rebound by Ovi, and then his shot was thrown out over onto the baseline against the wall. The wall of champions was the backstop for that shot block that they had on him there.
And the Cardinals have gone with a wholesale substitution here. The only starter left in the game is Jorge Antiveros. So Woods is in there, Gomez is in there, Tercero's in there, and Garcia. And so that's going to stay. So the ball's knocked out of bounds by the Wildcats. And I don't know, it looks like they stopped the clock for a second. The scorekeeper may not understand the...
Yeah, they've got it running now.
Yep.
Sometimes your thumb just gets accustomed to shutting off.
So Jorge Antiveros gets the ball back and looks like he's... Oh. So he's going to be called for a double dribble there, and the ball will go back over to the Wildcats.
So we're at a running clock with under 2:40 remaining. Eunice trails by 40, 24-64.
And it looks like the Wildcats have put in a different set of players, too. So Villalobos goes out there. His three-pointer's no good. The rebound goes off to Olivas. Goes back out to Villalobos. His shot is no good. And the rebound goes to Jorge Antiveros. He goes out to T.J. Martinez. And goes to Garcia Woods. Back to Garcia. And the ball's thrown away. And we got the easy layup here again. And that is Henson with the layup. All right. Goes over to Cadillo. Cadillo goes out to Henson. His three-pointer is no good, and the rebound is off to Jorge Antiveros. He's going to bring the ball down court. He goes over to TJ. TJ goes into Gomez. Gomez gets tied up. He gets it back out to Jorge Antiveros. His three-pointer is no good, and the rebound is on the floor, and they've got a breakaway there. That's going to be Enriquez, and the ball's knocked away. So it looks like it's going to be Cardinals' ball. Nope, they're going to say it's going to stay with the Wildcats.
So 1:10 remains here in the third. It is a running clock. It's a 40-point game, 26-66. Eunice will have the ball on the sideline. They throw it into Jorge Antiveros, and he'll bring it up.
And the Wildcats have put in a couple more of their starters again, and there's another intercepted pass. And so Hilliard brings it down. He goes over to Villalobos. Villalobos' three-pointer is good.
That makes it 26-69.
And so Jorge Antiveros brings the ball down. He's guarded, and his ball is knocked, and it goes over to the Wildcats. Pull down there, and they flip it out to Villalobos, and Villalobos makes the three-pointers. So they had a chance at the two, and they flipped it out for the three.
So it's 26-72. Under 20 seconds remains here in the quarter.
And Woods tries to go to Gomez, and the ball's knocked away from him. And here's another runner as Enriquez goes down uncontested.
74-26. Under 10 seconds remain here in the quarter.
Goes over T.J. Martinez. Martinez tries to go into Gomez, and the ball, and that finally gets the call on that 34 Olivas, as he's been using that size to push him around, but he finally gets a foul called.
Yeah, so that'll do the third quarter. 26-74 here at the end of three. They call a foul, but it's on that running clock, and it's a dead ball foul where nobody's in the 1-and-1, so that ends the quarter, and we will move on to the fourth quarter here. Eunice trailing big time.
Well, we've made 5 points in the third quarter.
Well, and unfortunately, I think Lovington made about 35 points in the same time span. So.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's like we talked about at the half. I mean, this is just a different level of basketball, and you're not knocking the Cardinals. It's just the reality. We've been playing the Tatums and the Hagermans and that type of team, that level of team, while this team has been playing the Hobbs Eagles, the Clovis Wildcats, the Carlsbad, Roswell. Those are the teams that they've been playing in close games, and they've got a better record against those level teams than we've got against the Hagermans and the Lovings of the world. So, they've got some huge wins over some of the bigger schools, and so, like I said, it's not a knock on the Cardinals. Sometimes this kind of stuff is good for you to let you see that there's more work you need to do to be at this level.
All right, so the ball's into Hilliard. He goes over to Sandoval, whose three-pointer is no good. And Orgeon Taveras is going to bring the ball down court. He goes with T.J. Martinez. Martinez goes to Garcia. And Garcia is tied up there. Goes to Gomez. Gomez tries to get out. Goes to Orgeon Taveras. He goes into Garcia. Garcia back to T.J. And he brings into Gomez. Gomez goes to Garcia. He was trying to drive that one over there. He now goes over to Woods. Woods back to Orgeon Taveras. And we're going to have...
So 26-74, running clock, under 7:15 remaining here in the game. Cardinals will have the ball on the sideline on their end.
All right, brings it into Gomez. Gomez's shot is up and good, and so we get a basket here.
28-74, 7 minutes remaining on a running clock.
All right, here comes Jeffrey. Jeffrey's three-pointer is no good, and the rebound off to Orgeon Taveras. He goes to Garcia. Garcia gets away from him, and here's, Hilliard pulled up, and looks like it's going to be a foul on TJ, and that's going to be a three-shot foul, isn't it? Because I think he was outside the three-point line.
Yeah, he was definitely shooting the three.
Yep.
You know, the official called him for the foul out there on the three, and I thought he fouled. I mean, I definitely don't disagree with the official. The part that I disagreed with is I know the young man didn't like the call, and then the ref stared him down to see if he was going to make any comments or whatnot, and just hoping that he would look like so he could tee him up, and I don't always like that sort of thing. So 6:45 remaining here in the game, 28-75. Lovington is socking it to the Cardinals here today.
And he makes the next one, and so 76-28. And it's closing in on and that goes to Garcia. And the ball is stolen away by Henson. That's stolen away by Hilliard. Hilliard goes over to Villalobos. His shot's no good. Goes back out to Villalobos. Goes to Sandoval. Sandoval's three is up and no good. The rebound is by Jeffrey. Jeffrey goes out to the three-pointer. His shot is no good.
Yeah, so that ball hit the top of the backboard. They called it out of bounds, so that'll be Eunice ball. Eunice has got some subs coming in, 3 off, 3 on. 6 minutes remain here in the game, 28-76.
And with exception of Woods being out there, we have most of the starting team out here. Goes over to Ortega. Ortega goes into Obi, back to Orgeon Taveras. He tries to drive around. He goes over to Ortega. Ortega's three-pointer's no good. Thompson gets the rebound, and he drops it, and he's going to have a chance for make it three the old way.
Yeah, Thompson has had a good few nights here, and, although we haven't seen a lot of excitement here in this particular game since we've been trailing most of it, Thompson with a heck of a finish there with contact, so he'll get the and one. The clock is running. He'll go to the free throw line to shoot one, and he makes it. So it's 31-76, 5:20 remaining on a running clock. Lovington with the ball.
Out to Henson to Sandoval. Sandoval to Jeffrey. Jeffrey back over to Henson. Back to Jeffrey. Jeffrey's three is up and good.
So that makes it 79-31. Eunice will inbound the ball. They have the length of the court to go. 5 minutes remaining here in the game.
Goes Obi. Obi goes over to Orgeon Taveras, over to Ortega in the corner, and his three-pointer is good.
So that makes it 34-79. Under 5 minutes remain here in the game.
Okay, over to Sandoval. Goes over to Henson. Henson over to Villalobos. Villalobos' shot is no good, and the rebound goes off to Orgeon Taveras. And the ball is knocked away from him, and here's Hilliard with the ball again. He pulls up a three-pointer, it's no good, and Oregon gets the rebound.
4:25 remain here in the game. Eunice with the ball.
All right, down to Woods. Thompson tries to get out of Thompson. Under the basket, that was a nice shot.
Yeah, nice finish there by Thompson in traffic. 4 minutes remaining here.
Good, and the rebound is to Obi. Orgeon Taveras brings the ball down. The ball is knocked away, and so it's going to stay Cardinal ball.
Well, and Lovington's going to make some mass substitutions here. They've got 4 coming in, 4 will go out. Running clock, under 4 minutes to go, 36-79. Eunice will have the ball at the midline, and this running clock continues to tick away.
And the referees are certainly take their time about getting the ball in play here.
Yeah, if
Maybe
you're Eunice, that's probably not a bad thing.
We were both thinking the same thing there. And so here's Ortega. He comes back to Obi. Obi goes off to Woods. Woods pulls up for a three-pointer and misses it. The rebound is off to Ortega, and his shot is no good. And rebound's going to go over. Obi had a lot of battle there, but it's going to go over to the Wildcats.
So 3:15 remaining. Lovington ball, 79-36.
All right. Enriquez brings it down. He brings it over to Cadillo. Cadillo goes over to Villalobos. Villalobos over to Contreras, and the rebound goes off. And now the shot is up by Villalobos. His shot is no good. Obi gets the rebound. Then brings it down to Thompson. Thompson goes down to Ortega. Ortega drives, nothing there, so we back out to Thompson. Thompson pulls up a little runner. His shot is no good. And the rebound is off to Contreras. Contreras brings that ball down court to Olivas. Olivas pulls up for a three-pointer and makes it.
Yeah, they've been trying to get everybody on the team a three, and I think they were really excited to get him a three. That's 82-36 with 2:30 remaining.
All right, off to Woods. Woods is tied up. And another one there, and so Enrique is going to bring the ball down court. He goes over to Villalobos. Villalobos pulls it up and go to Cadillo, and I think you're right. So Cadillo doesn't have a three, so they're sending it to him. Bring it all the way down to Woods. Woods' little layup and is up and in.
That makes it 38-82. 2 minutes remaining. Lovington's going to take a timeout. They're trying to... and I get it. They're trying to get some of these kids that probably hadn't had an opportunity to shoot the three or score, and so they're trying to get some of these kids in the scorebook. So they take a timeout here. It's a 30-second timeout. We're down inside 20 on the timeout, 38-82.
And they're obviously emptying the bench now because there are a couple of players we have not seen on the court. In fact, one of them down there, I don't even have his number.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's. They're definitely trying to get some folks to shoot the three. You know, if you notice there, most of that quarter, they get the rebound down low, and they could easily put it up and in. They're kicking it back up to shoot the three.
Yeah, but that was that 1-34 to Olivas. They did that thing. So
and
he's wide open and doesn't take it.
And they've done that numerous times. Even with the other group before they went and sat down, they were getting rebounds and had an open layup, but they kick it out to shoot the three. So Lovington will have the ball on the sideline, 2:08 remaining in the game on a running clock, 38-82 in favor of the Wildcats.
All right, Cadillo to Enriquez. Enriquez goes over, and that's that 24 who I talked about, and they give it to him to take a three-pointer. I don't even have his name.
He shoots it over the backboard. If it had been football, it would have been a good field goal because it went all the way over the back and through the uprights.
So Jorge Antaveras brings the ball down court. It looks like he's going to drive the lane, go in, and his shot is no good, and the rebound is off to Olivas. Olivas gives it to Enrique. The 24 again. This time he was short. They're trying exactly right. They're trying to get it. That time he wasn't outside the three-point arc, so it wouldn't have counted anyways. Goes over to Woods. To Jorge Antaveras. He pulls up for a three-pointer, and it is no good. And the rebound is off to number 24. And he pulls up his little running jumper. This kid must not play basketball very much.
Well, every now and then you see a situation like this. And like I said, I think the situation is you've got a young man that they're trying to get him some points. And I get it. It's a neat deal for some kiddos to get out there and get a bucket. So I don't have a problem with it at all. I think that's kind of neat.
No, they're not. Nobody else is even trying to take a shot. Every time they get down there, they give it to him.
Absolutely.
He wasn't looking to pass that ball off or anything. And
no.
He's taken 3 shots, and 2 of them have gone over the backboard.
Yeah.
So it goes into that. And who do we have in the court there? So that's Perez. We have not seen him in several games.
That's Adrian Perez. He played in that JV game a while ago, but
we haven't seen him play any varsity minutes in a while.
Right.
All right, so TJ drives down. His shot is up and rolls around and good. It took about a minute and a half there. 23 seconds left, 82-40. All right, so they give it out to him again, and his shot is short. And this ball is zipping on the ground here, and that is intercepted. And now stolen away. Looks like that's going to be a foul there.
And that's going to let the clock run out. That's going to be the ball game.
Yep.
40-82. And the Wildcats win here today at Joe Langston Gymnasium. No bad vibes for the Cardinals. It's just a different level of basketball. And, the Lovington Wildcats came out here and played a heck of a ball game, knocked down many threes. did a good job on the pressing end, and the Cardinals just weren't accustomed to that type of pace or that type of talent level. So, hats off to the Lovington Wildcats here today. They get the win. Eunice will have to go back and regroup because they've still got some more basketball to play.
Yeah, Hagerman boys and girls at first game at 10 o'clock. The girls varsity game at 10 o'clock on Saturday. And tomorrow night we're going to be down in Loving for a 5 o'clock broadcast, and that will be the girls tomorrow night.
Yeah. The girls' game should be Loving's got big wins over Hagerman both times and losses to Tatum. And so I think when you start looking at the talent level, the two teams are pretty evenly matched, and it should be a good game tomorrow.
Yeah, we hope. And so, Lovington, even from the line, was 3 of 4.
Yeah.
For 75%. So even when they're going to the line, they're shooting lights out. So it was. Well, I feel bad for the number 24 on there, as they gave him multiple attempts and he couldn't get his 3-pointer. He couldn't get his 2 points. And
well, yeah, like I said, that's just how it happens sometimes. So good basketball game here tonight. Great showing by these Lovington Wildcats, and once again, no knock on Eunice. Sometimes you just play a team that outmans you, and they definitely did that tonight. I've had people come up to me and say, how do you think you guys would do your football team against Cleveland? Because Cleveland's won multiple 5 and 6A state championships in boys football, and it's like, well, I think they'd kill us.
Right, because their whole line is going to be 250, 260.
Yes, plus.
Yeah.
And it's just a different level. And so as much as I'm a prideful Eunice Cardinal, and I know that back in the 60s and 50s and 40s, Eunice used to go beat Hobbs. In fact, I've heard people say that Ralph Tasker used to say that Joe Langston Gymnasium is the only gym he never won in. And so there was a time where there wasn't this huge difference in the schools. But now, especially at these larger level schools, you have a lot of kids that this is what they do. And they play AAU travel ball 3/4 of the year. They, it's just what they do. It's who they are.
Yeah, you see the kids like Sandoval and Hilliard, they're just, multiple players drilling the threes. And so, they spread it around. But you got a couple of players 3 players down there that, they had no problem taking the 3 early in the game and just nothing but net.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's just a different level. And that's not to say that sometimes in these small schools you don't have programs or teams that can go compete with those large schools. Pecos the last few years, as they were on their 5, whatever it was, state championships they won in a real short period, they were going and playing the Clovises and the Carlsbads and some of those schools and competing and beating a lot of them. And so when you have a top-level 2A basketball program, sometimes those programs can go compete with those 5 and 6A schools and give them fits. When I was a young man living in Central Arkansas, every year we lived in Garland County, which is Hot Springs. It's kind of the west side of Little Rock area. It's fairly heavy populated compared to what we're used to around here. And every year we had the county tournament. There were about 14 high schools in our county.
Yeah.
And most all of them were within 15, 20, 30 minutes of each other. And we had the Garland County tournament every year. And you had schools like Hot Springs High that were 6A. And then you had schools that were 1A.
Yep.
And they all competed against each other. And occasionally, not very often, but occasionally you would see one of those small schools upset and knock off one of the big schools. And it was huge news around there. But it was always competitive because you never wanted your crosstown guys that you see around town to beat you. So it's neat to me to see Lovington play. It's neat. I think it would be neat to see Hobbs go play at Tasker Arena, or Eunice, go play at Tasker Arena. And I know that, most nights they're probably going to thump us real bad, even worse than what we saw here today. But at the same time, I just think it's really neat to expose these kids to get to see that type of basketball.
Well, it's unfortunate tonight we had a couple of times where the boys football team had the running clock in favor of the Cardinals. So tonight, like you said, we both said at the same time, the referees taking their time to get the ball in play was probably a blessing to the Cardinals tonight. I want to talk about the people that make this game possible, this broadcast possible.
Yeah, let me open up my app so I can pull all that information up. I usually keep it on my app, and
Yep.
I know most of them off the top of my head, but I don't want to miss any of them. So Parker Energy, Brett and Penny Parker, Eunice Pump and Supply, Becky Nogelmeyer, my neighbor and staff, Eunice Health Clinic, Leanne Reeves, Alma Romero, Nikki Blevins, Brian Henning, Aaron Pascal, Yadi Frank, and all of those down there at the health clinic that keep us all safe and healthy. The City of Eunice, Eunice Public School, Zia Auto, the Whitmire family, Cardinal Hardware, Ashley Davis, Chris Myers, and all the crew. You guys make this possible, and without you we couldn't do what we do. And sometimes we don't always play your commercials as much as maybe we should, but we do that because our thinking is these Eunice folks down here, they want to see and hear about the kids there, you know, and so we definitely thank you. We appreciate all that you do for our youth, and you know, that's pretty much what I got to say about you guys. We know what you do. One other little shout out I'd like to give, Carlos Herrera is a business owner here in our community that does so much for kids and for our community. He recently lost his dad over the last few days, and the Herrera family, they've been a long-time staple in our community, and you know, Carlos does so much for our community. He's always out here cooking at football games. He's the guy that you always see with the big trailer out there tailgating and cooking burgers in the parking lot for before games and things like that. And he lost his dad, so I know that's been a real tough deal for him. So shout out to Carlos. Thoughts and prayers from my family and all the Eunice Cardinal family to you. We appreciate all you do.
And we want to congratulate your family before we sign off tonight, as you have another granddaughter.
Yeah.
And so the daughter and mother are in healthy and good shape.
Yeah, in Denver City. They'll get to come home tomorrow. Spoke to her this evening, and Isla Rain is her name. And the entertaining thing about that is they decided that was going to be her name months ago, and the middle name Rain. And we have had one heck of a rain
today, yeah.
today. And so Isla Rain is born in the middle of one of the most wet rainstorms that we've had that I can remember.
In years.
Yeah. So she brought the rain with her, and we're looking forward to seeing her. You know, my daughter used a doctor staff out of Denver City, and so I haven't been able to get over there. The judiciary doesn't let me leave the state, so I'm chomping at the bit to get to see her. And so but just looking at the pictures, it looks precious. So we appreciate you thinking of us. We can't wait to see Jada and Isla and Jace and Bryce back over here so we can squeeze them a little bit. So,
all right, so this is Steve Mueller and with Judge Jimmy Jones. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be back with you tomorrow night. There's a 5 o'clock broadcast as we're bringing you the Lady Cardinals against Loving tomorrow night in Loving. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of people tuning in the video because Carlsbad County is back to yellow, so there will be no spectators in the arena tomorrow night. So everybody have a good evening, be safe, and enjoy the rain.